This is BBC Television.
This is BBC One.
Now we come to episode 4 of the serial Smuggler's Bay, called A Reward of £50, and in it...
This is BBC One. Now our special programme.
On BBC Two now, another Western story of the High Chaparral. On BBC One, for the first time in colour, Panorama.
This is BBC One in colour.
Now on BBC One, Dick Powell and Ellen Drew star in the Preston Sturges film Christmas in July. And now on BBC One from Arena, a portrait of a man who's not only a great Presley fan, but a very accomplished artist, The King and I.
Well, in 5 minutes, Pete and Kathy are in for a shock when they return to Albert Square. Before that, a look ahead to a new drama series beginning soon on Saturday nights.
Now on BBC One, matchmaking of a different kind in EastEnders.
Just before Grandstand here on BBC One, time to find out what the weather holds in store with Peter Cockcroft. Your weekend fix of sport now on BBC One in Grandstand with Steve Ryder and Sue Barker.
News in the southeast now on BBC One with bolt of lightning sends robot number 5 AWOL with a childish taste for mischief now on BBC One. Madcap misadventure in Short Circuit.
It's all action at Holby General in 20 minutes. First on BBC One, may the voice be with you. Patching up the casualties of love and war now on BBC One to Holby A&E.
Now on BBC One, time to open up this week's Country File with John Craven. You're watching BBC One on the record. Now on BBC One, a chance to catch up with the week's events in Albert Square.
A fantasy love story for Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour, now on BBC One, sweeping away their 60-year separation to meet somewhere in time. Before that, on BBC One, the nation's favourite love poem with Mark Owen. It's all style for BBC One now. Sunday's South East News now on BBC One with Gargi Patel. Well-matured comedy, Last of the Summer Wine in 25 minutes on BBC One. After Harvest Songs of Praise with Pam Rhodes.
Can Compo believe his ears? Has Nora got the hots for him at last now on BBC One?
Things are at an all-time low for the Jacksons. On BBC One, a new series, Carol Vorderman investigates the unexplained.
With BBC One, and there's no purchase necessary. First on BBC One, the animal hospital tackles the problems that come with a large litter. Constructing a plan for revenge, now on BBC One, The Locksmith.
For the weekend on BBC One, village life is shattered, rebellious behaviour and a vicious killing in Bright Hair.
Attempting to save her daughter from a life of sleaze in a seedy underworld, Lindsay Wagner stars in tonight's film drama now on BBC One, based on a true story.
The Close Show is in 50 minutes. First on BBC One, let's hit the road to London. Here on BBC One, it's Ooh La La for the Close.
What to look out for if you want to avoid the brush-off now on BBC One with Juliette Morris. Here and now. One before that, poor old Bianca's feeling a bit down, but she can always rely on Ricky, can't she?
Before that on BBC One, a new series of Face Value with Alice Beer. Group China Black join Carol Smiley for the midweek lottery draw in half an hour on BBC One, and that's after Crime Beat with Martin Lewis.
Here on BBC One, a weekend away with Hyacinth. Crikey, what a
thought to cry on. First on BBC One, Here and Now with Juliette Morris. Here on BBC One now, Dell paints himself into a corner.
Rescues. A caring doctor played by Nigel Havers now on BBC One, and causing problems for Dangerfield.
Does that matter? Here and now.
And into the fire for Dangerfield.
Not nice having icicles in your crevices, especially when you're laid up in bed. Time to warm the proverbials now on BBC One in Get Well Soon.
A summary of the news now on BBC One with Jill Dando. Life's a mere charade here on BBC One.
More than a kind gesture now.
You're watching BBC One.
Real-life heroism in half an hour in 999 Lifesavers. First, the polls are closed and the ballots have been counted.
About to be put through their Halem paces now on BBC One, a new series for Gareth and Norman, Jobs for the Boys.
A summary of the news now on BBC One. On BBC One now, one man in charge, two teams of four, all acting their little socks off. If you haven't got it by now, you need more practice. So go on, give us a clue.
Dreams of leaving now on BBC One, real for some, traumatic and scary for others. It's a tough day in Casualty.
Outsmarting each other as the order.
Their feet in half an hour. Today's teams on Give Us a Clue. In the chair on BBC One now, it's Bob Holness.
The heat is on for BBC One now, but just what'll come out of the bag?
Big trouble brewing for the Mitchells in EastEnders in half an hour on BBC One. That's after we join John Craven in Africa to meet the hairy little orphans at the Animal Sanctuary.
Easton, Nick Hancock and David Essex, some of the star names of the comic relief football team, playing an away game in Africa here on BBC One in half an hour after The World's Strongest Man.
First, back with a new series on BBC One, and in vintage form, three happy wanderers feeling inventive.
Keeping it in the family now on BBC One, Jim Davidson's Generation Game.
Off the blocks now on BBC One for another question of sport with Sue Barker.
On Call with the Cabbies now on BBC One, pay the fare, get the banter with Cresta Cars.
considered a bit of a pest here on BBC One, her ladyship, Hyacinth Bouquet.
A European first for Children's Hospital, a groundbreaking transplant operation in half an hour, here on BBC One.
Forbidden love becomes even more entangled. A dangerous police operation in Undercover Heart, 9:30, here on BBC One.
An assassin's loose in the hospital. Quincy take cover on BBC One in 25 minutes after Neighbour.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's facing the unlikely prospect of giving birth, with Danny DeVito and Emma Thompson standing by to help him push. Comedy now on BBC One, Junior.
This is BBC One. Grandstand is coming up in 5 minutes after a news summary from Moira Stewart.
Now on BBC One, the news with Moira Stewart. So now on BBC One, before the Generation Game, we're talking French, or something like it.
Trouble in and outside the wards now on BBC One as a Green protest goes wrong and Eve and Charlie clash in Casualty. You're watching BBC One, where members of the royal family join the nation to commemorate those who laid down their lives. This year's Festival of Remembrance. And we're running just over 5 minutes later than scheduled here on BBC One after the commemoration at the Royal Albert Hall. Now, top action from today's match at Villa Park between Villa and Spurs, with Desmond Lynam and Match of the Day.
This is BBC One. Now from the Cenotaph in London, Remembrance Sunday, introduced by Tom Fleming. At 2:25 this afternoon, Hayley Mills stars in the film classic Pollyanna. Before that, BBC One's off to Walford to catch up on the week's events in Albert Square.
Cartoon fun now on BBC One on the Isle of Pingo Pongo. Children in Need Night is on Friday, November the 20th, and fundraising is well underway. But who are the children who need your help? Gabby Roslin's been finding out. This programme contains dramatic reconstructions of domestic violence.
An intelligence service decoding centre is this evening's venue for the Antiques Roadshow in half an hour. First on BBC One, Howard's making eyes at Pearl, last of the summer wine. First, the spectacular reef in the exotic waters off Borneo, Wildlife on One. The Sunday night drama now on BBC One, and neither the lecherous Sir Pitt nor his dashing son Rawdon can resist Becky Sharp as we continue Thackeray's classic Vanity Fair.
Now on BBC One, living together can be difficult, especially on a certain street in Australia.
How did she cope with it all? Memories of Safi at 9:30 as the Ab Fab collection continues here on BBC One. Made with the finest material, first on BBC One, an exclusive viewing of the Ab Fab collection. Now on BBC One, talking exclusively to Prince Charles and his friends, Gavin Hewitt reports for Panorama.
Now on BBC One, something or someone is going to have to go.
One at the new regular time of 8 o'clock, Let Yourself Go, with Jill Dando. Inside the Strange and Unexplained now on BBC One, Carol Vorderman returns for a new series of mysteries. Now on BBC One, QED looks at the science of a beautiful but very dangerous sport.
Carl, you've really messed up, so where next? Neighbours now on BBC One.
The day's news in the southeast, first on BBC One with Gwennon Edwards and Mike. Here on BBC One now, the meat eaters of the bird world. Fancy winning $1 million now on BBC One? You'll be lucky. They say that dreams can come true, first on BBC One. Margaret can always live in hope. Multitude of talents, first on BBC One. Victoria Wood is the best of British.
Could Dislike turn to love in EastEnders in half an hour, first on BBC One. If you've got a problem, who are you going to call? Mrs Awkward and Watchdog. Here on BBC One in half an hour, zookeeper Ginty has a chance to become more closely acquainted with the gorillas. First, it's Animal Hospital. Here on BBC One, tons of food are being prepared for a zoo full of hungry animals. It's all in a day's work for Zookeeper. Brand new comedy for Thursday night now on BBC One as we whisk you to a factory canteen on the outskirts of Manchester. Award-winning Victoria Wood stars in her new series, Dinner Lady. Before question time in half an hour on BBC One, some ripe language as Dave Allen joins Clive Anderson, or Robbie Williams and E17 join Katie Hill for Top of the Pops in half an hour on BBC One. That's after Anne Robinson and Weekend Watchdog. Big Friday night film tonight on BBC One with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Go It Alone Commando at 10:25. Now this week's Top of the Pops. In half an hour on BBC One, Ainsley's serving up bangers and mash in tonight's Party of a Lifetime. That's after a pair of couples from Sheffield risk changing. First on BBC One, there's a serpent loose in an English Eden. Nigel Havers is the man attempting to solve a crime of blackmail and betrayal. Dangerfield. That's after tonight's action thriller on BBC One, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. When murder triggers an international crisis, there's only one man who can sort it. Commando.
Live and uninterrupted, Grandstand on BBC One with Steve Ryder.
Here on BBC One in half an hour, an escaped killer who Mulder and Scully have come across before seems to be on a fox hunt. And that's after the airport turns into something out of a Hitchcock film. Don't trust no one, and especially not a serial killer. Vet in practice, Truda Mostew takes a break from handling animals and tries handling McCoist and Macaulay at midnight. First on BBC One, Match of the Day with Desmond Lynham.
A brand new Sunday tea time drama series now on BBC One based on a famous story. Children of the New Forest. Compo and crew are in search of hidden forces in Last of the Summer Wine in 35 minutes. First on BBC One, Songs of Praise with Pam Rhodes.
Teaching a priest to be a bingo caller turns out to be quite difficult in Ballykissangel in half an hour. First on BBC One, the real story of one of Britain's most elusive creatures.
A big red book with someone's name on it. First on BBC One, but whose? One. Now, a panorama investigation by Mark Killick.
And clearly dangerous right now on BBC One, telling stories that are best not told.
EastEnders in half an hour. First on BBC One, David Seaman and John Virgo compete in the kitchen in Celebrity Ready Steady Cook.
Now on BBC One, a tough task for Billy in Neighbours.
Before we fly the carry-on flag, the best of British starts on BBC One with a man who's been rocking and rolling for the last 40 years, Cliff Richard.
When the army think they've found an unexploded bomb, the four-legged evacuees are sent to the animal hospital. That's in half an hour here on BBC One. First on BBC One, the language gets as fruity as the puddings as the dinner ladies prepare for a special visitor.
Your Saturday afternoon sorted now on BBC One. Grandstand with Steve Ryder at Murrayfield.
This is BBC One Through the Night with BBC News 24.
Like Rick has put his foot in it again, EastEnders in half an hour on BBC One after Holiday with Jill Dando.
Play the game with Jonathan Ross. They think it's all over on BBC One after a shocker from the kitchen. Through the Night now on BBC One with BBC News 24.
Violence, cannibalism, and to cap it all off, Dorian's empty boot. A compromising situation for the birds of a feather in half an hour on BBC One. Before that, it's the calm before the storm. EastEnders.
First on BBC One, Mayor is determined to discover who the father of Ruth's baby is in EastEnders.
Is Lady Luck with you tonight? This is BBC One, and here's Carol Smiley.
Into the future, first on BBC One with Tomorrow's World.
First on BBC One, Match of the Day with Ray Stubbs. Daryl's finding life behind bars pretty tough. Hopefully the birds of a feather will cheer him up in half an hour. First on BBC One, there's someone else who could do with a lift.
Now on BBC One, if your summer holiday involves the trip to Cornwall, Carol Smiley has some tips.
As yet unseen, Auntie airs her smashing new bloomers at 7 here on BBC One after Jim Davidson's New Year Generation Game.
Real life medicine now as BBC One goes live to City Hospital.
John Virgo's suffering a bit now on BBC One, but it's possible Jim may just have the answer. This is BBC One, and Lance's lucky streak just keeps on coming.
Now on BBC One, Weekend Watchdog with Anne Robinson in widescreen.
This is BBC One, in the heart of the country. To Ramsey Street now on BBC One, and how's Anne going to take it?
Baby wants oranges.
The midweek national lottery draw with Lottery Extra just half an hour away on BBC One after green peppers take on red tomatoes. So now on BBC One, just what we need. Waiting for your call. This is BBC One.
Also tonight, an actor, director, musician and poet, an all-round star gets the Big Red Book treatment in This Is Your Life in half an hour. First on BBC One, it's Happy Birthday Phil. Although you wouldn't know it. A difference of opinion gets a bit out of hand, temper tantrums in changing rooms in 35 minutes, and then a wedding under threat. 2,000 Acres of Sky concludes at 9:10 here on BBC One. The real-life space drama that had the world on the edge of its seat now on BBC One. Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton and Kevin Bacon star in Apollo 13. Weather View now on BBC One from Sarah Wilmshurst.
An update of the news now on BBC One with George Alagaya.
The news and sport now on BBC One with George Alagaya and Mary Rhodes. With Robbie Keane and Teddy Sheringham, a question of sport at midnight here on BBC One. A thriller of a movie, A Climate for Killing on BBC One in a few minutes after the weather with Isabel Lang.
Your points of view now on BBC One with Terry Wogan. The news now on BBC One with George Alagaya.
A question of loyalties in Rebel Heart on BBC One tonight at 9:10 after a birthday surprise in Monarch of the Glen. Tough drama now on BBC One, on the run for their lives in the concluding episode of Rebel Heart. Here on BBC One now, the news and sport with George Alagaya and Mary Rhodes. It's 10 o'clock.
A powerful lineup now on BBC One, but who's in charge? So now on BBC One, interrogation time, and who's it going to be? Tonight and tomorrow on BBC One, The Crime Double starring Clive Owen, and a new investigation, Murder in Focus with Second Sight.
So now on BBC One, another happy birthday in Albert Square. And a new series now on BBC One as angry consumers fight back. Get Me the Manager.
Grab your duffel coat and curly wig. The Jonathan Creek Fan Club meet in 50 minutes here on BBC One.
A gambling addiction threatens to bankrupt the McDonald's. Sunday night is Glen Bogle night here on BBC One. Monarch of the Glen continues at 5 to 8. Saying a final goodbye to Compo, its last of the summer wine here on BBC One in 35 minutes after Songs of Praise with Diane Louise Jordan.
And before that on BBC One, Heartache in Albert Square.
Now on BBC One, Michael's Up Close.
Full of surprises, This Is Your Life with Michael Aspel in half an hour here on BBC One.
First on BBC One, Watchdog with Nikki Campbell.
And the build-up begins after the news on BBC One with Peter Sissons.
What happens when your big day is also your first day? When playing for ratings means playing with emotions. New drama now on BBC One. Love or money?
BBC One witnesses the worst of Britain's high-speed police chases. Hot pursuit, a car war.
And after tonight's Parkinson, Freddie Mercury, The Untold Story, is at 11:15. On BBC One now, the news and sport with George Alagaya and Mary Rhodes. Reliving life on board the Galaxy with the cruise on BBC One in an hour after Kirk Douglas on the Heaven and Earth show.
So it's all in the mind now on BBC One to kick off a new series of Tomorrow's World Live.
Right. BBC One rocks. Catch Lenny Kravitz on Friday nights with Jonathan Ross at 10:35. Before that, before the topical humour of Dead Ringers comes to BBC One.
And later tonight, Jasper Carrott and Meera Syal star in new comedy All About Me. That's at 8:30 here on BBC One. Adjusting to life in the trench, BBC Two's major new series continues in a couple of minutes. And this is BBC One.
You're watching BBC One with John Craven exploring the issues in this week's Country File.
Back to this morning on BBC One, people to meet and stories to tell now, with Matthew Kelly at City Hospital.
This is BBC One, and we're running just over 20 minutes later than planned due to a major power failure earlier here at Television Centre. Many apologies for that. So now, strong language in a disturbing family tale. Widow's Kiss.
Dicing with danger. Has Mark pushed things too far? EastEnders in half an hour. First on BBC One, celebs take the TV test.
Now on BBC One, the news in London and the South East with Jules Botfield.
BBC One keeping you up to date through the night now with BBC News 24.
Now on BBC One, we head to the Cenotaph in London's Whitehall for this year's Act of Remembrance.
So now a new series for BBC One, the return of Paul Kenyon. Celebrating happy anniversaries on BBC One now, but they're not married. Well, not to each other anyway. Strong language in same time next year. And that's because now on BBC One, Jonathan Ross introduces a tribute to George Harrison.
The news now on BBC One with Peter Sissons.
Now though on BBC One, the inside story of the Selby train crash. The programme briefly includes strong language.
This is BBC One, now the news with Michael Burke. It's 10 o'clock. You can't beat a good old-fashioned hero, and Harrison Ford proves that point now, continuing BBC One's Thursday night thrills and spills Indiana Jones trilogy, The Temple of Doom. Phil's about to put a spanner in the works for Jamie, and he's planning a few other surprises too. EastEnders is on BBC One in half an hour.
The Six Nations tournament starts tomorrow on BBC One in Grandstand at 1. Right now, John Inverdale meets Bill McLaren, the BBC's voice of rugby.
War veterans still haunted by the past, Edward Woodward and Christopher Plummer star now in a powerful new BBC One drama. Strong language and some scenes you may find disturbing. In Night Flight.
This is BBC One, now on the record with John Humphreys.
Live Six Nations Rugby. Ireland take on Wales this afternoon. Coverage starts in 25 minutes on BBC Two. Here on BBC One, we're off to sunny Spain.
Uncovering jewellery probably worn at the court of Napoleon. The Antiques Roadshow in Devon in half an hour on BBC One. Playing the Field continues at 9 on BBC One. Now, Michael Aspel and the Antiques Roadshow.
And before all of that, steering into trouble on BBC One, this bunch are off their trolley. On BBC One now, York Minster's the setting for this week's Songs of Praise.
Should we know more about where the food we buy comes from? Countryfile investigates at 11:30 here on BBC One.
The final part of Stig of the Dump on BBC One in 35 minutes. Now, Songs of Praise with Sally Magnuson.
Now, Janine's gotta face facts. EastEnders in a moment. First, have you seen BBC One's new drama, Rescue Me? Big time complicated love lives. It continues Sunday nights at 9. And here's a taste.
A routine cave rescue becomes complicated at 7:25. Drama in Rockface on BBC One. That's in half an hour after Tomorrow's World. BBC One on the trail of a former. See who walks away with this year's Oscars. Live coverage of the 74th Annual Academy Awards begins tonight at 12:45 over on BBC Two. Here on BBC One now, a multi-Oscar-winning blockbuster. Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet star in Titanic.
So now on BBC One, the staff of Holby City gets emotionally involved. This is BBC One with powerful drama based on true events set in a fictitious location in rural Ireland in the 1960s, telling the story of the Magdalen laundries, Sinners. On BBC One now, the concluding parts of powerful drama, Sinners. Emotional choices in film drama Sin and Redemption at midnight. First on BBC One, Booze with Jeremy Bowen.
And later tonight, the length some creatures will go to stay alive. It's Weird Nature here on BBC One at 8:30. And tonight's Crime Watch reconstructs the last known movements of missing teenager Amanda Dowler. That's at 9 o'clock here on BBC One. Stomach-churning stuff first on BBC One, and a great advert for home cooking. Crime Watch UK will be asking for your help again in half an hour. First on BBC One, it's all about camouflage, staying hidden to stay alive. Weird Nature. The news at 10 o'clock now on BBC One with Peter Sissons and Jules Botfield. Now on BBC One, back to the Crime Watch studio for an update from Nick Ross and Fiona Bruce. A change to tonight's lineup now on BBC One. Living with Disfigurement, Scar Stories is now later than billed at 11:45. And that's because of an extra question time with David Dimbleby. Some changes tonight here on BBC One. The late film Brubaker will now be shown at a later date. In its place, Coast to Coast is now at 12:35. But before that, accidental or deliberate, behind the scar, there's a story. A change to the scheduled film now on BBC One. Brubaker will now be shown at a later date. In its place, A Wife on the Run, Coast to Coast. It's now on BBC One with Helen Willett. Now on BBC One with BBC News 24.
Welcome to Good Friday morning and our brand new look on BBC One. Now on BBC One, animal stars take the spotlight. A meditation for Good Friday now on BBC One. Bishop Richard Holloway explores the story of Jesus' last hours.
Fun with the little people. Meet the borrowers in half an hour on BBC One. And this is BBC One with a load of doggy love.
Catch up with BBC One's new Sunday night drama Rescue Me follows Good Friday night with Jonathan Ross.
From serious campaigns to oddly shaped vegetables. It's the story of That's Life, tomorrow evening at 5:40 here on BBC One.
The countdown continues. Just half an hour till those doors open. Then at 10:35, find out who you've chosen to be the final student. Now on BBC One, look out. Phil is losing it.
You're watching BBC One.
Morgan Freeman's got a case that's a little too close to home. BBC One's Saturday night movie, Kiss the Girls, in just over an hour. Don't miss it.
Now on BBC One, the 10 o'clock news with Hugh Edwards and Gillian Joseph.
This is BBC One, the one place to be on Friday night.
And after the football tomorrow, stick with BBC One for brand new drama with Robin Hood and the return of Strictly Come Dancing. Right now, new comedy. This is the one to watch tonight. He doesn't look for trouble, it finds him. Brand new drama Robin Hood starts tomorrow at 7:05. Now on BBC One, back to college, and with some strong language, it's a real education.
Very expensive tastes now on BBC One as Jerry Hall adds a touch of class to Hotel Babylon.
So the National Lottery Jet Set 2012 with the Dream Number Olympic Draw here on BBC One in half an hour after a roller coaster ride with the medics on the NHS front line.
Fresh new comedy now on BBC One, looking even sharper on BBC HD. The perfect parent he isn't, and reality is about to hit home for Jimmy Venables. After You've Gone.
A quick news summary now on BBC One from Maxine Mouini.
As part of Holy Week, Rick Wakeman discovers the history of one of the world's most popular songs, Amazing Grace. That's in 45 minutes, after One Life. So, Clint Eastwood, Donald Sutherland and James Garner are the ageing pilots sent into space in 10 minutes. First on BBC One, I'll hand over to the ever-youthful Alan Dedicoat from Wealdstone.
Dawn's made her escape, but she's not out of the woods just yet. EastEnders in half an hour. First on BBC One, a battering at sea to bring in the catch.
They've grown, baked and knitted their way to the Great British Village Show. Alan Titchmarsh meets the prize winners in 35 minutes. First on BBC One, a special Songs of Praise with Pam Rhodes.
This is BBC One in Yorkshire.
Check in to 5-star luxury drama now on BBC One and with added gloss in high definition on BBC HD. Back for a new series, it's The Height of Fashion at the Hotel Babylon.
Saturday night on BBC One, and coming up later, the tension of I'd Do Anything and the drama of Casualty. Right now, though, the sheer brilliance of Doctor Who.
The National Lottery draws are live in 45 minutes here on BBC One, but first a pit stop and a hitchhiker for Doctor Who.
This is BBC One in Yorkshire. Now the BBC News with Fiona Bruce and Krista Ackroyd at 6 o'clock.
Fighting crime from the air, Sky Cops on patrol in half an hour on BBC One. In the run-up to Beijing, more of our athletes share their Olympic dreams at 10:35. Now on BBC One, and also in high definition on the BBC HD channel, a journey through history.
Now, Friday nights in front of the telly with BBC One, just perfect for a new series of My Family. Right then, before BBC One puts science to the test, let's get a new week of The One Show underway.
Everybody ready to welcome the world? The official Olympic broadcaster now on BBC One and in dazzling high definition on BBC One HD. The waiting is almost over for the London 2012 Games.
Anorak's fully zipped up, we're off into the digital dawn. From tomorrow we'll also have BBC One Northern Ireland HD. But for tonight, getting back to business, it's time to join the Golden Oldies.
Now on BBC One, Matthew Bainton finds out how a new Southend hotel copes with the biggest weekend of the year. It's the Great Staycation.
Just as everyone's about to lose faith in the investigation, an arrest is made. Dublin murders tonight at 9 on BBC One. Back to now though, and when it comes to finding somewhere to eat, there's lunchtime drama in Doctors.
Today's Antiques Road Trip takes us to East Sussex in 45 minutes, meeting an English winemaker along the way. First on BBC One, time to turn tatty rubbish into crafty creations.
Well, Julia's falling for Benjamin, but a discovery is about to change everything. Gold Digger continues tonight at 9, but now on BBC One, love could be in the air for Emma.
If you've ever wondered where Danny Dyer came from, he'll show you. Who do you think you are at 9? Right now on BBC One, some pointless politics.
Magical, powerful storytelling, perfect for dark autumn nights on BBC One, and it starts this time next week. I cannot wait. Tonight, Antiques Roadshow here with the stars of County Down.
Margie and Raj are driving through the southeast of England on another Antiques road trip in 45 minutes. First though, Jay's having some fun down the skip.
Good morning from BBC One. Dion's been presenting Homes Under the Hammer for 3 years now, would you believe? But there's a first for him in 45 minutes. Now though, advice if you're buying a used car.
Okay guys, first position, let's go.
One thing to bear in mind for the 8 o'clock is it's Ma'am Like Ham. The Queen helped celebrate 150 years of trade inside the supermarket. But first, this lot have got much bigger problems than the weekly food shop.
Nature can be unforgiving and also mind-blowing. Join Sir David Attenborough on his brand new journey across the continents at 6:15. Before that on BBC One, you ready to ramble?
Tackling crime in the capital, now on BBC One. With some strong language, detectives begin the hunt for the perpetrators of a vicious attack in Greenwich. We're on the front line with the Met.
Meet the students who love their premium pasta and pricey pesto. Can they eat well for less in 45 minutes? First on BBC One, aside from the house hunting, there's no end to Alistair's talents.
Yep, our epic new series starts tonight in Antarctica, the coldest, most hostile continent, where only the toughest can survive. 6:15 here on BBC One. Now let's get your points of view.
It's like a little bouncy ball. I can't believe that many balloons held me out of the water. Embarrassing shot to
And our drama night begins in the square at 7:30. Sharon and Keanu should be worried as Mel plans to tell all in EastEnders. Right now on BBC One, it's all coming to a head.
The Strictly Blackpool Week results revealed later on at 7:15. Now, the best bits from a fun-packed night on BBC One, and a big thank you for the amazing amount of money you helped raise for this year's Children in Need.
Yes, be part of it here on BBC One from 7:30. In 45 minutes, a derelict barn gets the Homes Under the Hammer treatment. Just wait till you see it. After Dom meets the Wichita firemen in a change to the Build episode.
It's horrible outside, so stay warm in the comfort zone with BBC One tonight. Casualties on the way after Middle for Diddle with Jason Manford.
No, not that far.
Seven worlds, one planet, and another chance to experience the land of the unexpected, South America, here at 10 to 4. The weird and wonderful to come in tonight's new episode, exploring Australia at 6:15. Right now, remembering a very special animal on BBC One.
Three. Off you go. Off you go. Good. Well done. Off you go.
BBC One, evening all. Well, they just caught up in the afterglow of the night. EastEnders in half an hour to see if Keegan and Tiff still stand by what they're proposing to do. That's after the One show.
What sounds like good news couldn't be any worse for Jay. EastEnders in half an hour. Then it's the moment of truth for Rick at Holby. And things go beyond Erie. Dublin Murders at 9. Tuesday night on BBC One.
They're high flyers, but will their cakes be high risers? Law firm colleagues take on the Flower Power Challenge at 11:30. First on BBC One, the only place to be on a Saturday morning. In the kitchen with Matt, live.
Afternoon tea is supposed to be a relaxing experience, but not today. Finals week begins on Celebrity MasterChef at 8. Right now on BBC One, Dan is back on the case.
Celebrity Authors kicks off the first round of Pointless later today at 5:15. Now though, you may not be able to put a price on happiness, but you can put one on knowledge. My student loan's proof of that.
This is BBC One, now at 1 o'clock, the BBC News, with Ben Brown.
Who will your money be on? Headhunters here on BBC One at 2:15. Right now, though, a new bargain hunt and a step back in time. A worrying time in Leatherbridge later. Day 2 of the Arts Fest, and Imogen can't hide her fear anymore. Doctors at 1:45. Now today's big fixture. It's Reds versus Blues on BBC One.
Evening, it's Dean here with your Thursday night on BBC One, with Michelle Visage bringing a bit of sparkle to the One show right now, just before a brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race UK drops on BBC iPlayer at 8. We can't wait.
How hard can it be to cut your carbon footprint? One family find out as they shop well for the planet, here on BBC One tonight at 8. Now, if walls could talk.
The mating game continues in 45 minutes. Look out for some dancing grebes that would definitely get a 10 from me. And there were a few last night, but who's going to go? Later than billed, it's results time.
The BBC News at 10 o'clock now here on BBC One with Hugh Edwards. Alex Scott knows a footy but not a family's history. Her emotional journey to the truth is here at 9 in Who Do You Think You Are? Now, Sarah's after a new rubbish to rescue.
Who would you expect to see on community service? By the sound of it, we're about to be surprised. It's payback time right now, and with some strong language, life's not dull with the Outlaws.
New Money for Nothing transformations to look out for today at 3:45 on BBC One. Right now, later than bills and in a change of episode, we're bargain hunting.
Welcome home, Stacey. We'll see you in Albert Square for a bit of a party at 7:35 tonight. Now on BBC One, the podium is the only place to be.
Hello and a very good Thursday morning to you if you're just joining us on BBC One. A service of reflection and hope marking the centenaries of the partition of Ireland and the formation of Northern Ireland, live here in half an hour. Before that, claimed and shamed.
Hello, Wednesday morning. I'm Alison, live with you on BBC One. Later, the stakes couldn't be higher for Sid. Doctors here at 1:45, but now Dom is bringing a delicacy to your door. A new week brings a new Money for Nothing at 3:45, and rusty garden furniture is about to be brought back to life indoors. Now on BBC One, and also new, Eric's a man of many talents. Wednesday nights always come with a warm fuzzy feeling here on BBC One as the repair shop opens its doors. A brand new episode tonight at 8. And we're back on track now, all aboard the 12:15.
Have I Got News for You is back later at 9. Welcome to Friday night on BBC One.
A warm welcome to Saturday night on BBC One. Maria with you for a packed evening of entertainment, including brand new Killing Eve at 9:15. Will they just get it on already? But we're kicking things off right now under the spotlight.
Mel Gibson in the Oscar-winning Braveheart tonight at 10:35. But right now on BBC One, with some adult humour, you know how it is. You push the send button and wish you hadn't.
Thursday night on BBC One. Hope you find you well. It's going to take desperate measures for Jean to accept the help she needs. EastEnders in half an hour. First, Day 5 highlights from The Hague at the Invictus Games.
Your Sunday lunchtime news now on BBC One with Victoria Derbyshire.
Bet you've done it. Send a rude text to the wrong person. Lee's desperately trying to limit the damage, not going out in half an hour. With some strong language, the headlines. First on BBC One, they're back.
Are you like me, confused this Saturday morning? Frost on the ground and we're into April. Crazy times. It's David with you live on BBC One. Hello. Stepping into the kitchen now. Morning, Matt.
With one final buy, Arita will need a bit of luck. Actually quite a lot. It's the Antiques Road Trip at 3:45. But now on BBC One, it's a new search for bargains.
Top 10 players never to have won the Premier League. Join the debate with Gary at 1:45 on BBC One. And after a bumper day around the grounds, he's here right now.
We're house hunting in the stunning Yorkshire Dales at 2 this afternoon. Join Jules for another escape to the country. Now on 1, we're expanding the herb patch in the kitchen garden.
Sunday night on BBC One with a couple of treasures taking us through to Peaky Blinders o'clock. Dynasties 2 in an hour in the company of the majestic cheetah after brand new Antiques Roadshow. Absolute Queens coming up on BBC One. The brand new series of Killing Eve continues in 40 minutes. First, though, dark things afoot down on the farm.
Tales of faith spanning centuries. The Reverend Kate Botley explores the history of Hereford Cathedral. Songs of praise here at 1:15. Now, faith in the fresh air.
Grief sets in for the Carters as a familiar face returns. EastEnders tonight at 7:30. Now though on BBC One, a new Pointless. We're podium ready.
Just under 24 hours to go until the end of an era. It's going to be emotional. Back to tonight, though, on BBC One. With some violent scenes, we take a journey to the past.
A new escape on the way in 45 minutes. Location is key for one couple who are county hopping to Dorset. First on BBC One. Now listen carefully.
Now on BBC One, the early evening news with Rita Chakrabarti.
Winner of no less than 5 Oscars, including one for its director and star, now on BBC One. Some strong language, graphic violent scenes and scenes of sexual violence in Braveheart.
It's a London derby in Women's Super League this afternoon. You can watch Tottenham v Chelsea live on Match of the Day from 2:15. Now on One, did reality meet expectation?
Tapping into our feelings while using state-of-the-art tech to transform households. Virtually Home today at 2:30 on BBC One. First, we need to find the home, hopefully at auction.
Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley star in the story of Alan Turing, wartime thriller The Imitation Game, tonight at 10:40. Now, freedom to laugh out loud with BBC One.
Roll out the red carpet on BBC One at 5:15 for a pointless round all about the Oscars. Now, from an award-winning town.
BBC One's in Kettering for a new remarkable DIY SOS big build in half an hour. But to E20 first, and every family's got someone who's always on the phone, yeah?
A dessert fit for the Queen. It's the Great British Pudding-Off on the Jubilee Pudding. 70 years in the baking at 8. Get your people round and watch it together. But before that, once again, how far is Callum willing to go for Ben?
This was BBC Two.
on to Let's See goes overland, getting around.
This is BBC Two, and now Newsnight.
Now on to the last in the series of artist journeys. Tony Cragg is off to Romania in search of clues that may lead him closer to the influences in Constantin Brancusi's artistic life.
World-class action on the ice now on BBC Two, introduced by Sue Barker.
Now on BBC Two, the programme that really knows its Arsenal from its elbow.
This is BBC Two. We now provide coverage of the Masters snooker from Wembley Conference Centre, where we join Doogie Donnelly.
For the crew of the Enterprise, now on BBC Two in Star Trek.
TV for the brave, first on BBC Two, The Sunday Show.
Now on BBC Two, a children's delight, a secret in Suffolk and a blooming freak. Gardener's World.
Now on BBC Two, Captain Frank Drebin exercises his amazing detection skills. Only the innocent need fear. Police Squad. After years of longing and looking forward, finally it's goodbye mucky Leeds, hello magical Morecambe. But retirement isn't all it's cracked up to be, not even with a sunset across the bay, as tonight's play in our Alan Bennett season proves.
Skyscrapers. Why wait for a lift when you can crawl up the outside? An extreme challenge now on BBC Two in They Who Dare.
Now, on BBC Two, by way of a tribute to Audrey Hepburn, who died last month, we're showing her Oscar-winning performance as the princess who falls in love with an American journalist, played by Gregory Peck, in the classic romantic comedy Roman Holiday.
An exclusive world premiere on BBC Two now, with the concert recorded earlier this evening. Mike Oldfield performs Tubular Bells 2 from Edinburgh Castle.
An MGM classic adventure now on BBC Two. Robert Taylor and Elizabeth Taylor star in Ivanhoe.
BBC Two falls into the hands of the two fat ladies now with the tastiest and juiciest comedy cuts.
Well, now on BBC Two, Rock Docs presents an omnibus film on Leonard Cohen, Songs from a Life.
It's all a matter of honour here on BBC Two now, as Keith Carradine and Harvey Keitel become embroiled in a long and bloody feud. Set at the time of the Napoleonic Wars, Ridley Scott directs his first film, The Duelists.
Here on BBC Two, a man with a mission to investigate beer. A difficult job, but someone's got to do it.
Now on BBC Two, Sandy Toksvig introduces those who are refurbishing the decorators for the 21st century.
Historic events now, as BBC Two looks back at the celebrations marking 50 years of Pakistan's independence. The latest releases first on BBC Two in Film 97. First on BBC Two, a wronged war veteran tries to prove his innocence. The Saturday matinee begins with I Am a Fugitive from...
Continuing the Saturday matinee now on BBC Two, a screen version of a hit Broadway musical and another postcard from the country.
BBC Two now opens a new season of The Works. Actor Ray Fiennes and his family talk candidly about their extraordinary mother. And Janeway and her crew brave the elements, now on BBC Two in the conclusion of a two-part story on Star Trek Voyager. Now on BBC Two, in the last programme of the series, Professor Stephen Hawking explores whether there's a single theory embracing everything. BBC Two now explores the legacy of Margaret Thatcher as Alan Clark concludes the history of the Tory party. Brunch isn't all that it's cracked up to be for William Holden and Ryan O'Neill.
Time watch for BBC Two now, recalling the tough characters and tough conditions of the Klondike Gold Rush.
A Bollywood villain and some new Brits now on BBC Two, talking to Network East.
And new in Top of the Pops 2 in 50 minutes. First on BBC Two, the coolest guy ever to have worn a polo neck.
Before that, we're sifting through the papers on BBC Two. Stepping onto the front line, decisive moments now on BBC Two follows the camera at war.
First on BBC Two, it's a date for look. Now on BBC Two, it's Alf's party, and he'll cry if he wants to. A battle for a place in the second round now on BBC Two in University Challenge.
Now on BBC Two, discover Shakespeare's Macbeth in an English File special.
Quentin Wilson takes a spin in a seductive little sporty number now on BBC Two. Tonight's Star.
Now, the first of two films today here on BBC Two, starring the man himself. He co-stars with Dustin Hoffman in Papillon tonight at 9:30. Now, though, he lines up with Frank Sinatra in Never So Few. Mixing old and new, this is BBC Two.
Now on BBC Two, a review of a busy week for the press. Now on BBC Two, the Cold War, and with Stalin's death, the lethal power games begin, a political race and a military threat. This is BBC Two. Powerful performances now on BBC Two from Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. Condemned to a living hell within a brutal prison regime, one man holds onto his dream of a flight of freedom, Papillon.
This is BBC Two, entering the animal zone.
Back on BBC Two now, the series that likes a fine car.
Feel the rhythm first on BBC Two with a new series of sound stories. Get digging first on BBC Two for the essential guide to rocks. First on BBC Two, whet your appetite. Along with loads of swearing, this is BBC Two on the fiddle, on the pull and on the pop. Fresh comedy from award-winning writers. Now, BBC Two gives you Big Train.
Now on BBC Two, a TV first, in the Ozone.
In 15 minutes here on BBC Two, The Simpsons are in the grip of gambling fever. First, upfront music news in the Ozone. First on BBC Two, Marge and gambling just don't mix.
Earth Story first on BBC Two, and dunes are busting out all over.
This is BBC Two, now Monday's News Night with Kirsty Walk.
Governor and the cause on the ozone in 45 minutes. First on BBC Two, specimen jars at the ready in Heartbreak High. This is BBC Two in the land of the pharaohs.
First on BBC Two, if you've never owned a piece of vinyl, then you're too young to be watching this. Here on BBC Two, we stayed to the end of that session of the UK snooker final, so we're running a little bit later than scheduled. Now Howard Stableford is feeling the heat as we head into the animal zone.
Introducing a night from the natural world now on BBC Two, David Attenborough.
Now on BBC Two in widescreen, if the music doesn't get you, Frank Skinner's jokes will.
Another tale from the storyteller in 45 minutes on BBC Two after Robot Wars.
Are you ready for a ballet classic as you've never seen it now on BBC Two? A daring new adaptation of The Sleeping Beauty in widescreen, introduced by Deborah Buell.
A schedule change now on BBC Two as we go live to the Houses of Parliament for a special service, introduced by Edward Sturton.
His worst nightmares coming true.
A new series now on BBC Two widescreen reveals Churchill's Phantom Army, who with stealth and cunning were the inspiration for James Bond. Betrayal, torture and death just a breath away for a British secret agent.
This is BBC Two.
This is BBC Two with some revolting recipes.
BBC Two lightening the load with Science Shack.
Now Newsnight on BBC Two with Jeremy Paxman.
BBC Two has live international rugby from Murrayfield now with Steve Ryder.
Newsnight and Newsnight Review now on BBC Two with Kirsty Walk.
This is BBC Two, also with a change tonight. House Detectives at Large will now be shown at a later date. In its place, we've Casualty. Now, a change to our Build episode, but we still got a class in the house with Zoe Ball. Now, BBC Two goes down under for Neighbours.
For the next couple of hours, comedy night on BBC Two with Malcolm, Buzzcocks and Coupling, in that order.
Reviving his Oscar-winning role in True Grit now on BBC Two, Big John returns as trigger-happy Rooster Cogburn.
Talking with Formula One racing champ Michael Schumacher, BBC Two thrives on speed in half an hour.
Now on BBC Two, a chance to get the highlights of yesterday's performances at Glastonbury 2002.
The last day of the festival brings out some of your old favourites. Now on BBC Two, it's Glastonbury 2002 with Joe Wiley. Watch out for the strobe lighting. This is BBC Two, seeing out a cracking weekend in the sticks.
First on BBC Two, a legacy of slavery, resistance, repression and rebellion, charting the fight for Jamaica. Blood and Fire. She's gone, but is there any way of getting her back? A new series of Buffy for BBC Two, the opener to season 6, showing uncut in an hour. Before that, if it's live music you're after...
Check out Bill Oddie's best bits in half an hour on BBC Two. First, while Comic Relief takes over BBC One, we get to bring you the best music around.
Now on BBC Two, here's the woman who's harder than a hardback.
Well, very good evening, viewers. This is the Prince of Darkness, and you're watching the telly. I sometimes watch the microwave by mistake. I don't know. Where am I?
And new names going to be on the trophy, and the tension is almost unbearable. BBC Two's live at the Crucible now for the final frames in the World Snooker Championship.
Turn it on, turn it up now on BBC Two, a fantastic new soundtrack for Saturday nights, starting with a special double-length show.
So less than 3 hours and counting to the brand new series of Top Gear tonight at 8. Right now on BBC Two, picking up where you left off earlier on BBC One, it's EastEnders.
You'll laugh, you'll cringe, you might even think, what a great idea. Dragon's Den, a chance to see again this week's programme at 8:05. Before that on BBC Two, Lauren Laverne with The Culture Show. Their confidence could take a battering now on BBC Two. Their underwear may go up in flames. Such is the pressure of the Dragon's Den. Here's a chance to relive this week's show. Modern food and wine comes with its fair share of pretentious nonsense, and the Grumpies are having a good old whinge about it in a new series in half an hour. Some strong language, first on BBC Two, in the one that didn't go according to plan. Have I got old news for you with Boris Johnson in the hot seat in half an hour? Good to know we're not alone. First on BBC Two, it's a new series, they're still grumpy, and using some strong language.
Looking through to Tastes of the Caribbean with Planet Food at 11:30, you're watching BBC Two with something new for the weekend. This is BBC Two. Tonight, separating fact from fiction, 9/11, The Conspiracy Files, at 9 o'clock. Now, fruity, spicy fusion tastes of the Caribbean with Planet Food. This is BBC Two. Tonight, what really happened on the day the world changed. 9/11, The Conspiracy Files, here at 9. Now, a bestseller on screen. Jack Lemmon stars in Tuesdays with Maury. Some people believe that the US government was actively responsible for 9/11. But do you? The Conspiracy Files, tonight at 9. You're watching BBC Two now, and it's murder. Final day of the World Championships with Ski Sunday here at 4:35. This is BBC Two. It's rugby now, and we know it's only rock and roll, but we like it.
Day. You're watching BBC Two. Tonight, boldly sending a Reliant Robin where no Reliant Robin has gone before. Top Gear at 8. Now, anything that can go wrong probably will.
Sunday night comedy with Ideal and Family Guy from 11:20. But right now on BBC Two, the final days of a superstar and one of rock's great mysteries.
Varenus betrayed and Mark Antony sent packing to Egypt. Another chance to catch up with this week's episodes of Rome from 11:20 tonight. Now on BBC Two, Jack and Victor taste the high life. Now on BBC Two, the latest national and international updates with BBC News. Supercars in the desert with the best of Top Gear tomorrow at 8. Now on BBC Two, celebrating Newsnight at 30. Remember this.
Now on BBC Two, 5 minutes later than scheduled, comedy that crosses the channel.
We're spending our night in the 90s here on BBC Two, celebrating a decade of great comedy and music. Steve Coogan and Chris Akabusi get the Mrs. Merton treatment in half an hour after we bring back the orange-haired, bespectacled Kathy Burke in Gimme Gimme Gimme. We're spending our night in the 90s here on BBC Two, and we're game on for more comedy at 11. First, a record-breaking show, Chris Akabusi's Crossing the Line with Mrs. Merton. Music from Take That, the Spice Girls and Michael Jackson to come. Our night in the 90s continues with Top of the Pops 2 in half an hour, after we turn back the clock with the opening episode of Game On. A house guest changes everything tonight. Our movie comedy from 1995 in an hour. And we're staying firmly rooted to the 90s now on BBC Two with Top of the Pops 2. After an 11-year absence from the Formula One calendar, the Grand Prix returns to Austria, and Susie Perry brings full highlights in an hour. Now on BBC Two, with a covert trek into Burma, it's Simon Reeve's toughest, longest and most ambitious challenge yet along the Tropic of Cancer. Now on BBC Two, and with some strong language, Stephen Fry is joined by Marcus Brigstock, Joe Brand and Danny Baker for QI XL.
Yes, it all had us gripped last week. More twists and turns to come tonight on BBC Two. Gardening and food before that, and we begin with some big flavours from Paul Hollywood. The plot thickens in an hour, we'll have you gripped. First, a feast for the senses on BBC Two with the RHS at Hampton Court. Ryzen asks, what's wrong with our weather?
A tunnel built to last now on BBC Two. Underground, underwater and under pressure, building the £15 billion railway.
Adding some drama at Longmeadow. Monty Don goes bananas on Gardener's World in half an hour. EastEnders now on BBC Two. Sharon, what's your next move going to be?
A little trivia fact for you. The people in the beginning of this film aren't actors. Keeping his distance up in the air with strong language, George Clooney's Scarier Than Alan Sugar, now on BBC Two. And he's getting ready to fire.
Now on BBC Two, before The Honourable Woman at 9. How do you get on with your neighbours? Try living next door to this lot.
A battleground on Britain's longest street as a community stood together to save their homes. The secret history of a determined fight in half an hour on BBC Two.
The web's most popular wild bear is in danger. Natural World, A Bear with a Bounty, is in an hour. First on BBC Two, a melting pot of flavours for Si and Dave.
Eggheads with a prize pot of £5,000 at 6. A team from Leeds keeping an eye on that. But now on BBC Two, even the cars are classic. Michael Aspel arrives in style.
As Frank Skinner returns to the Edinburgh Festival after a 7-year break, he joins Sue Perkins now on BBC Two for Edinburgh Nights.
Michael Portillo's fascination with the railways has taken him on a poignant journey this week on BBC Two, and now the second of all 5 episodes showing again this morning.
University Challenge with Jeremy Paxman tonight at 8. First on BBC Two, food to motorbike half the world for, as Si and Dave make it to South Korea in the Hairy Biker's Asian adventure.
Visiting the Australian outback, Simon Reeve continues his journey along the Tropic of Capricorn in an hour. First on BBC Two, 2 more famous faces hit the road.
Now on BBC Two, with some strong language from the start and scenes of sexual violence, The Honourable Woman continues.
In our late film tonight at 11, Liam Neeson is out for revenge, tracking down Pierce Brosnan in Seraphim Falls. First, if there's a K, there's QIXL taking care of it. First through delicious food and drink.
Meet 3 incredibly brave children in Great Ormond Street. Fix My Jeans at 9 tonight on BBC Two. First, a giant house share. Can just £100,000 build this dream family home? Making waves with some vintage looks now on BBC Two without getting in a 1920s flap. The pressure's on in the latest hair-raising challenge.
Newsnight now on BBC Two with Kirsty Walk.
So, if you're expecting live golf, I'm afraid the wind has suspended play at the Open for the time being. So instead now on BBC Two, enjoy a tasty trip with James Martin, Homeward Bound.
So now on BBC Two, in a change to some listings, an unscheduled stop at the Animal Park. Following an afternoon of changes, our escape to the continent as scheduled in 45 minutes. That's after a getaway closer to home now on BBC Two with Len Goodman and time-travelling companion. An intriguing find fished out of the attic on Flog It at 5:45 on BBC Two. Right now, life imitating art on a continental property search. Escape with Anita Rani.
Now on BBC Two, the concluding part of a devastating two-part series exposing our hidden history and the fortunes made from the abolition of slavery. Historian David Olusoga will be answering your questions after the programme. Join the discussion online. #Britain's Forgotten Slave Owners.
The mother of Wales and the mother of invention, seeking the ingenious of Anglesey in Coast at 9 tonight. Now there, BBC Two's Natural World enters a rich and diverse wilderness, home to a remarkable family of bears. Newsnight, now on BBC Two, with Kirsty Walk.
A Friday night thriller from the Olympic Stadium with Jessica Ennis-Hill and Mo Farah in action at the London Anniversary Games, here on BBC Two after Gardener's World. Tom Jones brings the music and Eric and Ernie bring the sunshine to Friday night now on BBC Two.
Take some crime drama that's as tense as they come. Cold in July. The film here at 10. First on BBC Two, talking to the people of a diverse and divided nation. A new adventure with Simon Reeve.
You have got a book to read. Now that's got your attention, hasn't it? Beautiful new packaging here on BBC Two. Of course, it's what's inside that counts, as you'll see with Chase the Case in 45 minutes. First, though, lightening the load. Now, you might have noticed BBC Two is looking pretty amazing this morning. Bet you can't take your eyes off us. And right now, from the power of seduction to the power of deduction. Get wrapped up in today's big news stories now on BBC Two with the Victoria Derbyshire team.
Is Labour ready to govern? Andrew Neil with Politics Live at 12:15. After BBC Newsroom Live now with Anita McVeigh. Hello and welcome to our new look BBC Two. Politics Live now with Andrew Neil.
Now, ahead of BBC Music Day tomorrow, everybody's favourite choir master, Gareth Malone, brings us a brand new quiz where you have to play the answer as well as say it. Don't worry, you'll catch on. Just get ready for possibly the best intro to a game show ever.
Code-cracking twins compete at 6 as the new series of Letterbox continues. And on BBC Two now, how to lose value in an instant in Flog It.
Julia's found a nanny. She's really great to start off with anyway. Motherland in half an hour. Some strong language now on BBC Two, and a reward if anyone can catch that weird orange creature. Don't do that on my screen.
Body parts and Ed balls. That's all I'm saying. For QI tonight at 10. Use your top-end body parts now on BBC Two for University Challenge.
Right now on BBC Two, does drinking wine or a pint every day mean you have a problem with drink? And when does it become an addiction? With some strong language, Adrian Charles examines ours and his relationship with alcohol.
Engage in complex drama now on BBC Two, with strong language and some scenes some viewers may find upsetting. In the fight for justice, the truth twists and the truth turns. The grandiose schemes of the kidnappers fall prey to a catalogue of catastrophes now on BBC Two, with some strong language and some scenes some viewers may find upsetting. Trust.
Joining Department Q, a detective reopens the case of a female politician who disappeared, and everyone thinks she's dead. There's strong language and scenes you may find disturbing now on BBC Two in The Keeper of Lost Causes.
Now on BBC Two with strong language from the start and some violent scenes. It's also quiet and peaceful until trust is broken.
A Life in the Fast Lane, Murray Walker, turbocharged, tonight at 7. On BBC Two now, The Sky's the Limit.
It's do or die in Franklin's world, and time to step things up a gear in Snowfall at 10:45. First, with some strong language, we go all PC with Sandy.
Good morning, welcome to the weekend. It's Dean here, taking you through Saturday with CBBC on BBC Two, and let's get you thinking first today with Susan Cowman.
From Belgian spies to the role of women running the railways of the Great Wall, Michael Portillo's here in half an hour. First though, on BBC Two, a real history of Britain.
So a storm is gathering. Snuggle up with us for our brand new brooding drama, Jamie Dornan and Anne Skelly in Death and Nightingales in an Hour. Pulling off a perfect pineapple pudding first on BBC Two, things are about to get sticky.
Two virtual renovation designs made real for one couple before a hammer has even been lifted. Your Home Made Perfect here on BBC Two tomorrow night at 8. Now, the race to third.
In a landmark new series now on BBC Two, Professor Brian Cox shines a light on the strange history of our solar system, the spellbinding story of the planets.
And now look at it. Happy Father's Day from BBC Two as the mother of all motoring shows returns with a brand new lineup.
Extended tennis coverage earlier this evening has changed tonight's schedule on BBC Two. A reminder, What the Week is on tomorrow at 10 instead. Now, later than build more real-life stories following people trying to remain in the UK.
Celebrating a golden age of cinema this Saturday on BBC Two as part of our Hollywood Women's Season. An Ingrid Bergman double bill, Casablanca at 1:20, but now an Oscar-winning film from 1948 that saw Bergman nominated for her lead role.
Highlights of England versus New Zealand in cricket today at the Test in the hour, and now Natural World Adventure, raising a family with the Weasels.
This is BBC Two.
quietly unassuming yet immensely powerful story of George W. Bush's right-hand man now on BBC Two. Very strong language and some scenes some of you may find upsetting. In Vice.
State of the Union in an hour. Now, monarchy, mayhem and madness, according to the history books. But Lucy Worsley has a different take on King George. Denial, doubt, delay. Big oil versus the world in an hour. Before that, what effect have these problematic participation patterns had on our plants? Monty versus the garden.
Fancy a day off the cooking? Top tips from Britain's top takeaways at 11:30 after Best Bits and Bites from the Saturday Kitchen.
Team of celebs in Richard Osman's House of Games in 45 minutes after a trip to a captivating Cumbrian castle.
See BBC on BBC Two with Terror from the Skies in half an hour, Deadly Dinosaurs with Steve Backshaw. Before that, Adam's about to face one almighty challenge.
Now on BBC Two with some strong language, taking pride to help a city thrive, step by step through tough times and good. We join Bradford on duty.
Now on BBC Two, make and mend and make some money.
He's a man on a mission. The hat, the pistol, and he always wins. Yul Brynner stars in Westworld on BBC Two.
Thursday morning on BBC Two with reports here at home and from around the world. The latest stories now from BBC News.
A case unsolved in our evening film Mr. Holmes at 8 tonight on BBC Two. And now, crime by the water. Who's safe and who can you trust?
No cricket this evening on BBC Two, but there's still time for some classic Kent versus Essex rivalry. In a change to some listings, time to go full throttle.
Now on BBC Two at 9 o'clock, we join the BBC Newsroom. Yellow's in search of otters and hopefully those show-stealing badgers will be back. Springwatch, always a tonic, tonight at 8 on BBC Two. Right now, though, it's lambing season. European Adventures on BBC Two. The Pizza Boys hit San Sebastian in an hour after an Italian road trip with some of the world's finest cars and an uncharacteristically modest baker.
Office gossip is cheap, but what is the cost of Helen's new alliance? Strong and discriminatory language and dealing with suicide. We've more from the newsreader.
Far from a pointless search, Richard Osman exploring his family tree. Who do you think you are here on BBC Two? After, we head to Suffolk for Floggit.
Silence.
The South Shields spouses with their own special Chris and Rosie Ramsey show is at 9 on BBC Two. Now, big excitement over an umbrella for the new celebs.
Welcome to Sunday Night on BBC Two. Anthony here with you live throughout the evening. First to Trent Bridge. Can England chase down a mammoth first innings from New Zealand? All the best of today at the Test.
The first of two Betty Davis films, now on BBC Two. Now Voyager follows at 3:25. But first, given the worst news, she's determined to find happiness in dark victory.
How to drive like an Italian. Paul Hollywood asserts himself on a big continental road trip in half an hour on BBC Two. Time first to go under the spotlight. Tense negotiations on BBC Two now, later than billed with some strong language and inspired by true events. Rosamund Pike stars in Entebbe.
So, in their wisdom, the BBC have decided not to give me a new series. They're giving me a whole new channel, BBC Quirk, a TV channel that picks up the baton from BBC One and Two and runs amok with it.
There will be themes.
You might get a whole night of stuff on your favourite programme, or a Vets in Practice Extra where we do things in a bit more detail. And on Saturday nights there'll be a chance to catch up on the week's most talked about BBC programmes. Apparently it's all fine, but they don't like the name Quirk. They want to call this new channel BBC Choice. BBC Choice. I still think Quirk's better.
That Robbie interview is going to be great. Now on BBC Choice, live, direct, always on the button, alert and wide awake, backstage with Julia Bradbury. 5 pints of curry in a club usually does it for me, but BBC Choice discovers a couple of different ways of looking for love now in real lives. Strictly on a need-to-know basis. This is BBC Choice.
OK, all I have to say now on BBC Choice is turn it up loud.
Patrick Kilty's almost live now. Well, not as almost live as he was on BBC One last Friday. This is BBC Choice, after all.
This is BBC Choice. Drama, bad language and sexual matters now in the party. This is BBC Choice. Zoe Ball's story so far is here in 15 minutes. That's after plenty of hot links.
This is refreshing TV on BBC Choice. Now it's time for the very stern Anne Robinson, who'll be grilling the weakest link.
Very few rock stars have anything even resembling a rock shrine after they're gone, but John Lennon's is actually official. Here it is. Now on Choice, they keep referring to her as a pop star's reject, but I say no. I say she's a solo singer. All right. Claire Freeland joins Chris for Liquid. You are watching BBC Choice, and guess what? Size matters. Good evening, you're watching BBC Choice, and our first stop tonight is Planet Showbiz. Liquid news is almost upon us. Now on BBC Choice, I'll give Christopher Price a few moments to slide elegantly into his chair by slowly saying, "This is Liquid." We're back in the Kazi for the brilliant toilets in half an hour on BBC Choice. But first, a little strong language and much amusement.
3 is a magic number. Yes, it is. It's a magic number. Somewhere in the ancient mystic trinity, you get 3 as a magic number.
Good evening, welcome to BBC Choice, and as well as being happy that it's Saturday, you should also be happy because we've got an I'm Alan Partridge bonanza starting at 9 tonight. In half an hour on BBC Choice, it's I'm Alan Partridge. And right now on BBC Choice, it's I'm Alan Partridge. And just in case you couldn't tell, it's I'm Alan Partridge night.
And don't forget, you've got one night with Robbie Williams at the Albert Hall. We've got Robbie Williams performing old and new material in half an hour. But first up on Choice, Robbie the reindeer is having a bad day. 29 members of the public undergo 10 days of physical punishment in SAS. Are you tough enough in half an hour? But first, we're swapping life forces now. Ed Stone is dead.
Good evening, welcome to BBC Choice, but it's not for long because BBC 3's here tomorrow.
Good Lord, it's enormous.
It is huge, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it beautiful?
Good evening and welcome to BBC 3. It's launch night and let me tell you, it is big and it is clever. And who better to let you in on it than one Mr. Johnny Vaughan?
As you get older or nearer middle age, is that you get a kind of hankering for it to come back again.
Now on BBC 3, you're seeing it here first, behind the scenes with gorgeous singing siblings, which rules out the cheeky girls. With strong language and strobing, it's Appleton on Appleton.
Can I just tell you, I'm wearing glasses at the moment. With this pair of glasses, I can do terrible damage to you.
So now on BBC 3, Claudia Winkleman and Colin Patterson make sure the cogs and wheels of the showbiz world are well lubricated.
I didn't like it. My wife broke out in boils.
Now on BBC 3, our Wednesday movie. In a change to the one you may have been expecting, we've got strong language and violence, with Christian Slater and Kevin Bacon up against it at Alcatraz. It's based on a true story, Murder in the First.
She said, don't come back so late this evening.
In half an hour on BBC 3, Safi goes a-birthing in Absolutely Fabulous. But first, not-so-little Jane goes a-shopping.
And, of course, we compared notes. We both seen the same thing, except that his man was sort of greenish metallic because he had his sunglasses on.
It's midweek movie time, and so we provide you with Famke Janssen, Treat Williams, strong language, prolonged violence and disturbing scenes. You're watching BBC...
Fill it up with medium-sized worms and cut the noses off them with a scissors. Now, this is not really cruel because a worm doesn't feel pain.
2 pints of lagers coming up. Now on BBC 3, Gary, go on, my son. He's died and come back a sex god, has he?
What's a nice woman like you doing up there on your own?
The terrifying truth behind the conflict diamond market is the subject of Third Degree at 8 tonight on BBC 3. But it's all smiles now, though, with Jane Lee. So before we have our little encounters with either Vinny or Robbie here on BBC 3, we have another rather special encounter. You most definitely saw it here first. It's the East...
Somebody, what a mind. You see, I'm into minds.
Don't forget the chat master Johnny Vaughan is back with more guests at 11 tonight on BBC Choice. But first, I don't think Robbie Williams knows the meaning of the word holiday. This is why he did what he did.
Expect the unexpected when Dom Jolly is let loose in front of a studio.
The ground should just don't make him swallow you.
Now on BBC 3, here's your chance to trade in celebrity stockbroking, where a virtual price is placed on their heads, with the biggest dividends revealed in Celeb DAC.
Rather than... it's a bit of...
This is BBC 3.
Microelectronics and electronic X.
Find out what's next to befall Jack Bauer and the rest in the glorious 24 in 15 minutes on BBC 3. But first, focus your mind on a little brain candy.
And now I'm done.
EastEnders 10 o'clock tonight. Can't wait? Well, you don't have to. Mr. Gary Hobbs requests the pleasure of your company in EastEnders Revealed now on BBC 3.
Well, no, I really can't say that I have, because,
I mean, no, well, I really haven't, no.
Catch up with the day's showbiz shockers in Liquid News in an hour from now on BBC Three. But first, strong language and strobe lighting from Fatboy Slim, musical hooligan.
Right, was this fin happened what you don't even know nothing about? Shut up, I wasn't even supposed to be anywhere even near there. The Meredith came over, started stirring it all up, started calling me all these things, talk about this thing, what you don't even know about or something or nothing.
The Tuesday comedy is upon us, people. It's big, it's bold, it's blasé, it's brand new, it's a little bit black and it's brilliant. With strong language, it's Little Britain. It's BBC Three.
Oh, yes. Yeah. EastEnders in an hour. First on 3, I'm sure they're very proud of him.
I'm going to have chicken and something else.
In half an hour on BBC Three, Trevor Nelson meets the one and only James Brown. How cool is that? We might not understand a word he says, but he is the boss. Now, EastEnders.
I just let myself go a bit, you know. I might, get scruffy and that, but I'm not hurting anybody, am I?
Don't forget, more creepiness is to come tomorrow at 10:30 on BBC Three. Kingdom Hospital creepiness it is. Now, though, the first of our spine chillers double bill.
And it's a long, long time, and you'll just step back in and find your match fitness and match touch. That's rather put me off. Was that you? Yeah.
There's more from Trauma in half an hour on BBC Three, but first, Sufia and Asif find out what metal their marriage is made of. Is this the one?
Coach asking for quiet. He power jerked it again. This is unbelievable. The little look. Yeah, it's me, he said, it's me.
Thinking Thursday kicks off tomorrow with the trouble with black men, looking at the problems and misconceptions faced by black men in Britain today. That's at 9 tomorrow on BBC Three. Now, Trauma.
Stand on the edge and let go. Everything in your body tells you that you shouldn't be doing this.
To the midweek movie we go now on BBC Three. There's very strong language and a very fit woman. Plus, lots more, of course. It's pushing...
Well, if you want to learn how to do this, the chances are high that there'll be a group near you.
In half an hour on BBC Three, our old friends the Three Non-Blondes hit the streets again for more comedy chaos. Now, though, Pauline finds a new friend. No, it's true. It's EastEnders.
With the temperature rising from Friday's... Sorry. I'm never any good if it's not live.
We're hopping the Atlantic for sex, sports and all USA style in half an hour on BBC Three. But first, forget other countries, try other dimensions. With strong language, it's spine chillers.
Terrible term. I even had to wear my outdoor coat indoors.
The brand new series of The Bachelor kicks off in Marbella in an hour from now on BBC Three. But first, who rules the roost in the Guapagno house? Yes, say it fast and confidently, and it sounds like you know how to pronounce it.
When you're up here, doesn't matter what group is on, all the music sounds the same. It's just a case of, boom, boom, but it all sounds the same.
And we have got 2 episodes of Ideal almost back-to-back coming up later, 9:30 and 10:30, separated by EastEnders. But first, the devilishly funny Little Britain. No, don't go, my little blob friend thing. I'll miss you. Anyway, in an hour, one of my all-time favourite panel shows comes to BBC Three, never mind the Buzzcocks. But first, let's meet...
Release me, let me go.
Now, my favourite panel show with my favourite presenter. Simon looks like a child's drawing of a person, Amstel, in Never Mind the Buzzcocks.
Should I stay or should I go now? Well...
Right then, now BBC Three, let's not mess about, shall we? We've got comedy for you, and it's shiny, and it's new, and it's 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. Last time for the blobs, so long, you were great, but we all have to move on. Brand new look, BBC Three tomorrow. Now, time for the Baby Borrower's Changed My Life. Now, BBC Three, time to hand over to Scott Mills as he brings us all the latest mad, bad and dangerous to stand next to without earplugs. Who'll be the champions of tonight's Upstaged? Well, the pressure's on for another groom-to-be in Don't Tell the Bride in half an hour on BBC Three, but before that, the only pressure is to remember their lines. Oh dear. Now on BBC Three, we hand over to a certain songstress and her first ever whack at having her own TV show. It's another chance to see tonight's stonking new Lily Allen and Friends. Oh, you've got to love this time of year. You've got to love this show. Now on BBC Three, it's a cacophony of camp, crazy, tray fabulousness. It's the Eurovision semi-final. Brand new BBC Three means brand new drama, and that's exactly what this is, mate. Where else would you find a gay Buddhist kung fu cop? Tell me that then. It's Fu Action. Now on Three, all the hard work it takes to become a head chef, and then you can't even eat any of your own food because, what, it's too expensive? It's too rich? No, it's because you only eat biscuits.
I'll go up to 3.
I'm looking for something bold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right, I'm doing me.
Why would you believe in something awful when you can believe in something wonderful?
That's what I'ma do till it's over.
Do not under any circumstances apologise.
I can do that.
3 Time on BBC One, every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday from the 4th of March.
Now, Be Still My Beating Heart, the first of a double bill. Expect some strong language and to fall head over heels. It's BBC Three's Normal People.
Fancy a bit of new comedy on a Wednesday night? Of course you do. With some strong language, BBC Three grabs the mic on BBC One to see what the Midlands has to offer.
Listen up and listen up very carefully.
Oh my God.
Come, let's do this thing.
This is it.
This is what I've been waiting for.
Come on, Scott. It's time to strike a pose.
That was cold.
Check this out.
This is my kind of party.
Wild.
This is total chaos.
Work with it now.
I kind of love that.
Let's go upstairs.
Yeah, boy! Yeah! It's right.
I want them to blow my socks off.
Let's get gassed up.
You cannot disappoint me.
Yes.
This is going to be brutal.
Let's turn up the heat.
Yeah.
Together, we can change the world. Always leave them wanting more.
BBC Three launches Tuesday, 1st of February.
How you doing, folks? Welcome to your Thursday night here on BBC Three with me, Louise. We're not messing about here. Let's straight away get you all caught up on today's news from around the world. It's the catch-up.
With great following comes great expectation. With strong language, it's time for the story of the incredible rise and fall of Caroline Calloway in My Insta-Scammer Friend.
Now on BBC Three, we are taking a deep dive. 47 metres down, uncaged. Expect some violent scenes, plenty of scares, and the occasional limb removal.
My Insta-Scammer Friend is up in an hour, and I'm so excited for this because it just sounds mad. First though, with some strong language, the contestants are catering for the big leagues, in hungry for it. Zen Motoring, defo the most common show on telly, is up in half an hour. First though, Philly is back to his usual snooping habits. With some strong language, it's hot property.
Has Liam always been as reckless as he seems? We're visiting the past again on 3 Now in Leeds to find out if a wild house party is worth the aftermath. With strong language and adult humour, it's more ladhood.
I mean, this is what I love about Free. We really cover all of that sport in action, you know. When I say action, right, it's not to be taken lightly either. I mean, full-blown kicks, locks, punches, and more craziness you've never seen. Containing some violent scenes, it's the Bellator 283 highlights.
A hard-hitting documentary in half an hour with Zara McDermott's uncovering rape culture. Now, though, with strong language and some scenes which some viewers may find upsetting, it's In My Skin.
Marathon time in half an hour, but this time we're swapping the running shoes for sponges and brushes as we get caught up with Glow Up, Britain's next makeup star. Now on 3, get those flags a-waving. It's Jubilee time in the square. Zara McDermott investigates rape culture in an eye-opening documentary discovering how toxic traits begin. Uncovering rape culture is on in an hour. First on 3, if you have any summer parties planned, then get writing these makeup tips down. It's Glow Up, Britain's next makeup star.
Fame. Welcome to our new channel, BBC Knowledge.
Open your mind.
Sharpen your mind.
Expand your mind. BBC Knowledge. Practical learning that can really make a difference.
BBC Knowledge is the first television-based multimedia learning service. Now, to you and me, that means a new kind of channel designed to get the most out of current technology and evolve as new technologies emerge.
New tools, old learning. Looks like a pretty promising future.
A revolutionary new channel that will be at the cutting edge of interactive television.
Interactive TV allows people to take that step further and bury deeper into the subject that interests them.
A new channel for a new way of learning.
There's no better leisure activity than learning.
A new channel for everyday living.
It's catching up with where technology is going, it's catching up with the future.
Jam-packed and foil-wrapped for freshness, this is BBC Knowledge. Welcome to today, Thursday the 24th of June, 1999. Now on BBC Knowledge, with something fishy going on, here's Dynamo. This is BBC Knowledge, and this, bad jokes and all, is Dynamo.
BBC Knowledge, from small acorns, the odd remarkable tree. You're watching Science on BBC Knowledge with Moments of Genius.
This is BBC Knowledge, Seeing Salvation.
You're watching BBC Knowledge.
What is billionaire Sheldon Adelson's extraordinary quest? Find out in the mission after Tools of the Trade. Andy follows his passion and Vanessa continues her campaign. Live stuff in 50 minutes after one man tries to make his dream come true on BBC Knowledge.
Now exclusive to BBC Knowledge, our weekly update on the lives and loves of the people of Saint-Tropez.
BBC Knowledge continuing a special week featuring some of the world's great detectives and their creators.
If you've just joined us from BBC Two, welcome to BBC Four's permanent home. In just over an hour, we pay tribute to the legendary talent of Peggy Lee. And here's a taste of the rich mix of performance on offer from BBC Four. Good evening and welcome to BBC Four. We've just about recovered from our launch last night. Tonight we've the Welsh National Opera's Madame Butterfly, that's in an hour. And before that, in just a moment, the raw operatic talent of South Africa's Townships is harnessed in a breathtaking production of Carmen. From the townships of South Africa to Cardiff, and a classic production of Madame Butterfly, specially filmed for BBC Four, performed by the Welsh National Opera and introduced by Charles Hazelwood. Last night, Robert Hughes presented an absorbing portrait of Spanish artist Francisco de Goya. Now his story gets the cinematic treatment in this epic biography, set at the end of his life when an exile in France. In Spanish with English subtitles and, as you'd expect, containing some violent scenes, BBC Fol presents Goya in Bordeaux. BBC Fol is home to a rich mix of performance. Here's a preview of what's to come. Ambition and intrigue now on BBC Fol. From Watergate to resignation, we begin the first of a two-part profile of the secret life of Richard Nixon. World cinema, Hollywood blockbusters and the classics are all coming out on DVD. Stuart Maconie casts a critical eye over the latest releases now on BBC Fol, half an hour later than billed, in the DVD collection. Now, half an hour later than billed, due to the extension of our first live performance earlier tonight, BBC Fol continues to tell the outrageous, definitive history of Britain's own modern art revolution. There are some strobe lighting effects and strong language, as you might expect, in part 2 of Brit Art. And you don't have to wait until next weekend. We begin our celebration of the Walton Centenary now on BBC Fol, as Birmingham Royal Ballet perform 2 settings of his music from the company's recently refurbished home, where Deborah Bull is waiting for us. The French Revolution triggered a wave of fear and terror that got the British building fortresses and castles like they never had before. Now on BBC Fol, Dan Cruikshank recreates the horror of an invasion by the French. And the moving story of female-to-male transsexual Robert Eads is this Thursday's Storyville at 9 o'clock. This is BBC Fol, now the talk show with the journalist and art critic Voldemar Januszczak. It all gets surreal from now on here on BBC Fol. Jonathan Meades traces the development of surrealism in an hour, followed by Dali's disturbing classic film and Chien Andalou. And Dali's success gets him into hot water first. There's very strong language and strobe effects as Stephen Fry, Ewan Bremner and an impish cast present Surrealissimo. It's all still a bit strange here on BBC Fol, and there's more strong language as Jonathan Meades gets inside the world of Dali, Breton and co. to chart the development of the Surrealists. An invasion by Germany and the pernicious ideology of Adolf Hitler threatened our very existence, and the English Channel was no longer protection to the threat from above. This is BBC Fol. And this is BBC Fol, now the talk show with Maria Misra. And Storyville, following Robert Eads' moving story, is tomorrow at 9. In half an hour, actors from theatre, film and television discuss the challenge of playing Hamlet. First on BBC Fol, following his highly acclaimed production, Peter Brook discusses the inspiration for his work in conversation with Sir Richard Eyre. With scientists already undertaking the first cloning experiments, can we trust them with the responsibility of looking after our interests? Now, BBC Fol, with the Royal Society and Radio 4's Today programme, hosts a unique debate on the wide-ranging issues surrounding genetic experimentation. It's presented by John Humphreys. As well as acclaimed and thought-provoking theatre, BBC Fol screens the best of recent international cinema. Here's a preview. Good evening, welcome to BBC Fol. Later tonight we've the first of our Readers and Writers roadshows, bringing authors face to face with the people who buy their books. That's at 8:30. First tonight, Julian Richards uncovers the blood of the Vikings. And this is BBC Fol with the very first Readers and Writers Roadshow, presented by Kate Moss. We've a time... BBC Fol's Readers and Writers Roadshow is the first ever weekly book programme to be broadcast throughout the year. It's reached Colchester now, where Kate Moss and guests explore the different perspectives that literature takes on history. Now on BBC Fol, Helena Kennedy encounters some very distressing scenes as she journeys to Rwanda to profile the work and life of a secretive and controversial world figure. And tonight we've Edward Yang's epic award-winning drama A One and a Two. That's in half an hour. First on BBC Fol, a review of the best new and classic DVD releases with Stuart McConey. Paintbrushes and chainsaws at the ready now as BBC Fol, with some strobe effects, reveals the candid, bitchy and highly entertaining unofficial history of Brit art, in the words of the people who made it happen.
What it takes to keep a huge media empire very much a family affair. Now on BBC Fol, an inside look at the Murdoch dynasty. Hello, tonight on BBC Fol, Wind in the Willows meets Swallows and Amazons for a big read Battle of the Books at 8:30. Then we mark 50 years since the death of British contralto Kathleen Ferrier in a moving portrait which reveals the woman behind the amazing voice. That's at 9. And don't miss Alan Davis and Joe Brand on angels, Alsatians and goodness knows what else in brand new QI, presided over by the lovely and fragrant Stephen Fry. That's at 10:30. How an art historian found playing the undercover game almost impossible when confronted with a long-lost Rubens. Art crime in 10 minutes on BBC Fol after the business confessions of Mr. Clockwork Radio, Trevor Bayliss. Very small Rubens paintings were stolen from Spain in 1985 and found their way to Sweden and Miami. Art crime next on BBC Fol. Small is beautiful, first on BBC Fol, and very elusive indeed. Art Crime tells the story of an art historian enlisted to help with an elaborate undercover sting who got completely overwhelmed by a very tiny Rubens. Now on BBC Fol, the history of one of the most unlikely scientific pioneers of our age, the laboratory map.
Whilst members of the Athens Olympic Committee and senior politicians dodge journalists asking difficult questions, the architects, engineers, choreographers, musicians, lighting gurus and television producers all struggle on with their preparations. But will they meet the deadline now on BBC Fol for the Games in Athens?
Hello, after tonight's prom on BBC Fol, should England have its own national anthem and should it be Jerusalem? The enduring appeal of one of our favourite hymns at 9:10. And for Thursday night comedy, not only is there brand new Arrested Development at 11:30, but also another chance to see Chris Langham as hapless documentary maker Roy Mallard. People Like Us begins at 11. The Vienna Philharmonic performs Bruckner's Symphony No. 8 in C minor. That's tonight's prom in half an hour. You're watching BBC Fol.
Stirring stuff now on BBC Fol with strong language and some nudity. An anthem for England.
And this is BBC Fol. Thursday night comedy with Chris Langham in People Like Us in half an hour on BBC Fol after QI. Now on BBC Fol, another chance to see Chris Langham as Roy Mallard, merely an observer of People Like Us.
Hello. After last night's announcement of the Booker Prize shortlist for 2005, tonight here on BBC Fol, Kirsty Walk examines the 6 books and authors in contention at 10. Then an exclusive insight into the daunting job of being a Booker Prize judge. 5 members of the public were given just 3 weeks to read last year's long list. Book It Out is at 1. And don't miss the final part of the second High Mat at 10:30. This is BBC Fol with the last prom before the last night in half an hour. This is BBC Fol on the last night before the last night with Verity Sharp. This is BBC Fol taking a good look at the Booker Prize shortlist for 2005. Here's Kirsty Walk. Where and with whom will Herman end up? The final part with some sexual scenes now on BBC Fol of the second High Mat.
Our proms coverage begins here on BBC Fol tomorrow night at 7:30 as Sir Mark Elder conducts the Halle with music from Sibelius, Bartók and Janacek. But back to tonight now, and our Britain Through a Lens season continues. Behind the local TV camera, as household names were made, we go back to the early days of regional TV.
Remembering Australia's first superstar in Skippy in half an hour here on BBC Fol. But now, first shown in 1999, from Sheffield to superstardom, it's the ever-evolving Human League.
Now on BBC Fol, trade secrets, corporate espionage, some strong language and downright skullduggery. After all, all's fair in love and ratings. And as part of the pop season, BBC Fol takes a look at the genesis of the girl group craze tomorrow at 9 with Be My Baby. In the meantime, though, I've always wanted to say this, it's still number 1, it's Top of the Pops. Another chance to catch this week's visit to the sky at night here on BBC Fol this evening at 2:15. But first, we're reliving 1976 now with Top of the Pops.
Getting into the rhythm of Rio, the girl from Ipanema, Brazil, bossa nova and the beach coming up here on BBC Fol. But first, it's back to the brilliant sounds and styles of '82. We've raided the archives to revisit the early career of the Rocket Man, from interviews to performances on the Old Grey Whistle Test and Top of the Pops. Elton John at the BBC in an hour. First, there's a storm brewing here on BBC Fol. In an hour, examining the literary giant V.S. Naipaul and his complex cultural legacy. The trouble with Naipaul here on BBC Fol. First, with scenes some viewers may find upsetting, Michael Mosley goes well beyond the call of duty inside Porton Down.
Another pioneer, guitar playing to die for, hypnotic energy and that raucous voice. Chuck Berry in concert in an hour. And this just puts you in the best mood. Top of the Pops, 1985 big hits on BBC Fol.
BBC Fol's Music Night is firmly, utterly, unashamedly stuck in the 80s tonight. Moments of pure magic in the reunion of Soft Cell. Say hello, wave goodbye in an hour. After the stars of 1989 tell it like it was. There's strong language with Top of the Pops.
Revelations and surprises from the mission to Saturn. Goodbye Cassini, hello Saturn with Horizon in half an hour. First, BBC For's seeking out alien worlds and even alien moons with Maggie and Chris. A group of West Virginians taking on a powerful corporation over contaminated waste, poisoning America from Storyville in an hour. First on BBC Four, the spectacular end of a life-changing mission.
Time for the final double bill of Below the Surface now on BBC Four. With tension spraying to the quick, who will win this game of hide and seek? With strong language from the start and some violent scenes, enjoy the trip.
A killer confesses but changes his story. What's the truth in Storyville? Killing for Love tonight at 10:30. Now on BBC Four with strong language and violent scenes from the start. What can Martin remember in Beck?
Now on BBC Four, it's All Aboard with Michael Portillo on a great American railroad journey.
You're watching BBC Four. The next programme is Signed. A hidden Victorian history in an hour, a brutal tale of empire and resistance in the Punjab, the stolen Maharaja, Britain's Indian royal here on BBC Four. First, further back to the Stuarts. Lucy Worsley sorts fact from fiction as she investigates the reign of Queen Anne. As the 75th anniversary of the partition of India approaches, Dr. Sona Datta explores the subcontinent's rich history now on BBC Four, revealing Pakistan's intriguing multicultural past in The Treasures of the Indus.
Enjoy a mindful meander now on BBC Four and take in some stunning scenery. There's nothing better than a good walk.
I'm sure Hyacinth would very much approve of her new home here on BBC Four. We don't let our standards slip. It's keeping up appearances. You're watching BBC Four. The next programme is Signed. Groundbreaking drama from the archives now on BBC Four. The Roads to Freedom continues now with scenes some of you may find upsetting.
The story of a rock star rebel and Prince of Darkness. In his own words now on BBC Four, strong language and scenes you may find upsetting. Ozzy Osbourne seems to have had his 9 lives. Now he tells the story of all of them. Now on BBC Four, it's All Aboard with Michael Portillo on a great American railroad journey.